the networking events, you know, and I was the guy. I was the guy that liked to go to all of these events, and I really enjoyed that. And it kind of gives you a chance to network with other people and gauge their level of expertise, and also kind of take a temperature of the market, right? So I don't something like a thermostat or a thermometer of what's going on with the market, what are my colleagues saying, and trying to keep my thumb on which way the market's going, so we can better instruct clients and advise them, you know? Yeah. So where are you at with your process?
Well, to be truthfully honest, I got my license back in 2005, but because I was unfamiliar with what was going on, and it seemed like you had to have money to do real estate during that time of my life, and I was fresh out of high school, and I was just like, I don't think I'm ready to do this. This is not for me. I wound up going back to school, getting my nursing license, and I did that up until COVID. And with that being said, due to COVID, I wound up opening up a business because I was scared of COVID. And
Kelly, I lost you there. I heard where you, I heard the last part.
oh, I'm sorry.
Can you repeat that part?
I left working as a nurse because of COVID, and then me leaving that, I opened up a janitorial business that did very good during COVID.
Yeah.
And from there we went into handyman and remodeling, and then I got to the point I was just like, I have a real estate license, but I've never used it, and I think it'll be a good thing for me to do for a commercial side only, because we do a lot of renovations, and our services are really more towards commercial. So I wound up seeing if my stuff was still there, and it was, but then I decided to retake the exam. The lady said I didn't have to, but I'm going to retake it because it's been a decade since I took the exam, and I'm not familiar with anything because I didn't give it enough time to understand it, and I kind of just left it and did something that made sense at that time for me. So that's where I'm at today.
And with all of that remodeling experience, you know, we are often finding ourselves flipping homes throughout the year as well. Do you apply any of that remodeling to single family homes, or do you really just focus on like commercial buildings or what?
We do homes. The only thing about it, we normally, it's a realtor that I work with. I think he's with SC or SCEXY or EX. I think it's EXY, I'm not certain. And I do a lot of his homes. Once they go to inspection, we get the inspection report, we get it ready for the next seller so that, you know, the house can sell and get it back up on market. So yes, we do them. We don't do them as frequent as we do commercial properties, but we do about 20 a year.
Okay, well, I probably need to ask you to come give me some quotes.
Yeah, we can.
Awesome. Well, and so that you raise a really good point here. Part of this meeting is about networking and building value, right? So a big part of what we do as realtors is to put ourselves out there in front of people. And Kelly, like, if you hadn't mentioned that, how would I have ever known to give you a shot? You know, like, you and I are here talking here, and you have a brand and you have a reputation in the marketplace. You've been doing this for a while. People know your work, but if you're not putting yourself out there, how are you supposed to get business besides, I guess, referrals, right? So, part of my idea for this, you know, weekly call is for people to engage and kind of talk a little bit about what they're doing, what they think they can bring to clients. So this is really perfect. And I really appreciate you sharing that with me. Okay. And so we're actually in the southeast side of town. Our office is in Lake City. We have a flip going on over in the Sagemont area right now. If you kind of know where that is, Beltway 8 and 45. And we've got people working over there right now, you know, so, you know, if you and I do end up getting together, I would love to see some of the pictures of what you guys are doing for work, you're on your remodel, and let's see if we can put a deal together. I don't know. So.
Okay, no problem. I can do that.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. I see Bianca is also on the call. I wanted to make sure that I actually give you a chance to say hello. Hi, Bianca.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you very much. I'm actually studying right now, and I remember I got this text message regarding this meeting. I was like, let me take a break from studying and give you guys a shot, see what everything's all about.
Awesome. Awesome. Have you joined us on the call on these calls before?
No, I'm still I'm still studying to get my real estate license, but the timeline of how everything was laid out to me,
Mhm.
they said to apply for the real estate license before you take the exam.
Mhm.
So it takes time to process and everything else. And as soon as I, sign up for the license, I start getting emails and messages and everything regarding everything. And so, okay, there's a lot of room to grow and there's a lot of things to do. And there's a lot of places that I can go and start working. I just need to study a little harder and a little faster, I guess, to get in my feet into it sooner than later.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how far along are you in your coursework?
I'm actually starting the law of agency chapter.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm almost halfway through.
Yeah. How are you enjoying that?
I actually love it. I'm a stay-at-home mom with 2 children. They're in school, but my husband is military, so I'm running the show.
Oh,
My
of
husband is
course.
at home. So it takes me a little bit longer to go through it, but I actually see myself doing a lot of things. Actually, my neighbors right next door they were selling their house last year, and because of me, they actually raised the asking price. So guess I'm giving tips and tricks already to people without even being in it, and they actually got the price that I told them to list it for.
Awesome. Awesome. So did you ask for a cut of that?
No, of course not. I'm not that kind of, I think I love what I do. So, I mean, I don't do it yet, but I love this thing so much that I just give tips and things to my opinion to people as far as what I know so far, that I just love giving information out. I don't care. You don't pay me. As long as you're happy at the end of the day, I'm, fine. And they actually ended up with 25 grand in their pocket, extra of what they were trying to get because of the information I gave them.
That is awesome. That is actually really awesome. So they were able to net more based on the advice. And, honestly, these types of things are going to happen to all of us throughout our careers and our lives. It was probably maybe over a year ago now, we had these neighbors across the street from us. She was actually a licensed agent. So I do this full time. Like I'm doing this every day of my life, right? Like Monday through Sunday, right? She worked a job. I think she worked at a title company or something like this. And she was a licensed agent, but she was not really practicing very much, maybe like 1 or 2 deals a year, something like that, right? And so she decided, that her and her husband were going to move down to, I live in Pearland. They were going to move down to Alvin or Manville or something like that into a new construction community down there, and maybe get a little bit of a smaller house. So they bought a new construction. They decided it was too big. And maybe a year or 2 later, there's like, it's just too big. Let's get something smaller, right? And so, whenever you get me in a room talking about real estate, of course, I can just talk about this stuff all day.
Right.
So whenever I would see her across the street, I would always be friendly to her and just kind of chat her up and say, hey, what's going on? So she told me that she was going to list her property. And I said, oh, okay. We're obviously I'm interested because of the fact that I live across the street and my property value is directly impacted by what my neighbors are selling their homes for, right? So I asked her, oh, that's awesome. So did what kind of price point are you looking at there? And she told me, and I said, oh, really? Wow. So, Michelle, I'm in the market every day. And I think you're kind of cutting yourself a little bit short. I would go up actually about 20K higher. And she ended up doing that. Right. And so she actually ended up selling her home for 20K more also. And that's why I was asking if you asked her, your friend, for a piece of that action, right? I didn't either, obviously, but it just goes to show you that, when you're working as a trusted advisor and you're putting yourself out there, maybe not in this case, but if you help enough people, that money kind of comes back to you. And on that note, I will point out one mistake that I noticed with her listing, because of course I'm looking at the listings that are coming up in our neighborhood every week. This was right after that February storm. Does everybody remember that like ice storm, what, a year or two ago?
We were in the process of buying the house. We were during closing when that all thing happened. So I'm fairly aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So she came out and with her, she had obviously like a really nice camera. She went and took beautiful pictures of the inside, but she took the pictures of the exterior, like, I don't know, a few weeks after that ice storm, and the grass was just brown and terrible. I'm like, what are you doing? What are we doing here? And so I didn't really get a chance to kind of beat her up over that. But, you know, you gain experience just kind of going through the motions on a day-to-day basis of doing this job, of what to do and what not to do. And I think she probably maybe could have sold her home for even more if she's not going to make a fatal mistake like that of showcasing the property with defects and flaws that could have been corrected, and using bad pictures. Right. So just something to be cognizant of as you're out in the market trying to engage clients. Right. So value. This meeting today is all about providing you guys value. And I always get something out of it too. I mean, I really enjoy speaking with you guys. So I appreciate you chipping in and sharing what's going on with you. I noticed also Janetta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, hi, Janetta. How are you?
I'm great.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us on the call today. Where are you at with your process on getting your license?
I am just finished completing my classes, and I'm about to take my test sometime this month. So I'm looking forward to going into the office soon.
Oh, okay. Have you picked out an office already?
I am with Teresa at I think it's the Katy location.
Oh, okay. What company is that?
Keller Real Estate.
Keller Williams. Okay, and Katy, right?
Yes.
Okay, I actually have a pretty good friend over there, and I think he's in one of those offices in Katy. His name is Emil. So he and I were pretty tight.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you in the Katy area as well?
I am in the Spring area, but
Okay.
that's the location that I'm trying to move to. So I picked that office.
I see. Well, all real estate is local, right? So it definitely helps when your office is in your backyard. But you know, the market area that you work, I mean, that could literally be anywhere. But I have always found that, you know, I love working in Pearland and Lake City because it is kind of in my backyard, and I really got to know those areas over time. You know, in this day and age, with the technology that we have now, you really could work for a broker in Dallas or Timbuktu, as long as they're licensed in the state of Texas. So it makes it very easy with technology and Zoom calls now to be able to connect with agents and actually run offices virtually, right? So
Yes.
for you guys that are out in Spring or Katy, we get leads out there, and you know, we're always looking for agents to talk to about handing leads off to as referrals, or of course recruiting over the long term as well. So there are a lot of opportunities in that section. And I guess I should have asked all of you what markets you're all in. But what I can say here is that it's pretty common for us to get leads up in Cypress or the Woodlands. I've driven up to Lake Livingston several times for buyers up there. So, you know, you kind of just go where the money is. But if you have team members that are already working those areas, then, you know, if I said, oh, Janetta, I have a Katy lead for you. Can you take it today at 3 p.m.? And you're like, yeah, great. Well, so yeah, you'll go off and you'll close that deal. You'll make that money, but you also just save me 2 or 3 hours of driving plus like the tours and stuff like that. So we get we get some economies of scale by working in teams that we wouldn't be able to get as what I would call the lone wolf agent. And we've seen.
I'm trying to be all over. I'm trying to go to Dallas and Fort Worth. I'm trying to be local. I'm trying to make sure I have a car that's reliable to get everywhere. I just had an accident a couple days ago.
I'm sorry.
So I'm regrouping. So I'm glad I'm able to get in because I do work a full-time job. So I'm off for a couple days. So I'm going to try to pull in whenever I can.
Okay.
And check into the Zooms.
Yeah. So I hope you're doing okay with your accident.
Yeah, I'm able to talk. That's a good thing. God is good. I'm good. I'm glad I'm still in one piece here for my children. So I'm great. I'm happy to see your face.
Of course, of course. Well, I appreciate you joining us on the call here. I think I am sharing my screen with you. Can you guys tell me?
Yeah.
You can see
Yes,
it?
you
You
are.
can see what I'm looking at?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am actually reviewing what's called the newsroom within the har.com app today. And the reason that I wanted to kind of dive into this as far as this meeting was concerned, because right now we're trying to have these meetings like once to twice a week, just to kind of put ourselves out there and be kind of regular in seeing what new recruits are thinking, what new agents are thinking, and what they're working on. But also, we're doing pretty well for ourselves, so it just kind of makes sense for us to be able to share what we're working on and see if you guys can kind of pick up what we're throwing down and learn something from us as well. Right. So we are trying to benefit our normal neighborhood communities as well as the new agents. Right. So what I kind of wanted to talk about here in this newsroom was there was a presentation or an article, and you guys, I think with your limited, if you guys are not on har.com yet with an agent account, I want to say that you guys can still pull up this newsroom and stay on top of har news, what har.com is putting out as far as our local news in our market and how it's affecting us. And if you don't have that access, there are multiple websites. Well, if you went onto Google right now, you could actually literally set up a custom search to deliver to yourself our results of news updates about our local market. And so what I would always suggest is staying on top of these headlines as they're coming out to try to keep your thumb on the market and understand how our current conditions are changing. So with that being said, this graph here, minimum qualifying household income, current versus last year. So if you go back in and read this article, it actually talked about what kind of income was required for a median price home, as far as, okay, what can a typical family afford and what do they need to make to be able to buy a home in our area. And so it actually has these different regions from Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and then Texas as a whole, and then the US. So as far as the entire US is concerned, we're right there with them. And then these other markets are actually a little bit still undervalued. Like San Antonio has a median price of $54,800 in Q1 of 2021, first quarter. And then right now it has been bumped up to 71.6. And so the US average right now is 74.4. And we're at 73.6. So what does all of this mean? Number one, look at the differences between so for Houston, going from Q1 of 2021 to Q1 of 2022, this time frame last year, it's been bumped up. Like your income to be a good or decent buyer in our marketplace has gone up by 27% in the last 12 months. So what does that mean in terms of affordability and for our buyers that are able to even buy a home right now? If you guys are watching the news about interest rates on a daily basis, there's a whole lot of talk about where interest rates are going, they've been at historical lows for several years now, and now they're creeping back up. And since January 1st of this year, they have gone from, in the 2s and 3s up to we're over 5% now. And so basically what I'm saying is interest rates have basically doubled in 4 or 5 months of this year. And where does that leave us with our housing market? Because every uptick on those interest rates are going to make the monthly cost of affording that home harder and more difficult, right? And so to put in perspective for you, let's say, for example, that 6 months ago, I had a buyer that could afford 275. If interest rates have gone up, from 2.5 or 3 up to 5%, well, now maybe they can only afford a $250,000 house. So how does that change your approach in the market of the buyers that we're dealing with, and being able to talk to clients through how their affordability will change as interest rates keep coming up, and being able to deal with that on the fly. Your buyer client goes and talks to their lender today versus 3 or 4 months ago, and their lender might be telling them, oh, I'm sorry, you've got to reassess your price point now, because interest rates have become too high for you to afford. Now, that is really more on the lower end of the spectrum. It's still very, very hard for people in the 250, 200s, or let's say 250 and under to be able to get into a house. It hasn't impacted some of the wealthier clients as much as it has on the lower end. But if you are watching the market at all, for me 2 or 3 years ago, it was no issue at all to be able to get a buyer into a $250K home or a $200,000 home. Well, now it's a lot more competitive. So you need to be able to come up with tools to be able to provide to your clients, to your buyers, on explaining to them on how they need to remain competitive. So if they need to go put in an offer in this marketplace right now, what is the best way for them to get an offer approved, right? And so I want to kind of take a break from chattering at you right now and just kind of ask, have any of you, and feel free to chip in here, have any of you been following the interest rates, the conversations online on YouTube or on Google? Because the Federal Reserve, our central bank, has been talking about this literally every day. Nothing, huh? Okay. So anyway, the main point that I'm trying to make here is for people to be able to guide their clients through tough conversations. Okay, so I did get a comment here. They talk about it all the time with the stock market. Yes, you are correct. So some of us love following the stocks, and some of us love watching the real estate markets all day, right? But yes, the interest rates going up are having a severe impact, particularly on NASDAQ index right now. And what you see here is that the higher the interest rates are going, it's taking the steam out of the markets, out of the stock markets. And just like stocks, it is helping to make the home prices or the monthly payments go up, which affects the affordability of your buyer, of your client, of your buyer to be able to buy the home. Or, if you were working with a seller with a listing, and 6 months ago they were talking about, oh, for sure I can sell this house for 500. Well, I don't know, but those numbers might have changed, right? So you would have to do that reassessment now that interest rates are changing in our market on a daily basis, and really staying on top of that so that you can effectively guide them. So for a seller, if you tell them to overprice the house, or maybe you don't think it was overpricing, but if you overprice the house, then the house just sits on the market with, you're not getting enough home tours, and then the seller obviously is going to get pissed off at you, feeling like, oh, you're not doing your job, you're just putting putting stuff online and you're not coming over here. You need to come over here every weekend and do an open house at my house. And, you know, it's very frustrating for them. So having an open and honest conversation with the client, the seller, about effectively pricing the home and making sure that the home is fairly priced, and also trying to be able to forecast where are those home prices going. So, you know, when we talk about a city like Austin right now, that market actually went up by 34% year over year. So where does that leave the Austin market? That market even went up faster than ours did. And so interest rates, is particularly because Austin has become a technology hub, they're talking about this market, Austin market, being more severely impacted than Houston. I mean, if you think about it, you've got tech jobs out there, and if all of the tech stocks are going down, there's a possibility in the coming months of layoffs for some of these tech companies. And how will that impact their local Austin market? Okay. So I got a question. Does that mean it is harder to find a home for buyers? I think it depends on your experience, honestly. You know, in our office, we work on multiple angles with our clients to try to make our offers more competitive. So one example of that might be foregoing an option period, right? I was on the phone with a lender actually the other day, and I was trying to explain to him because this particular lender was really wanting our offer to include an option period. And so I told him, well, actually, you know, I haven't done hardly any options over the last 6 months, maybe a year. Most of our buyers are not making offers with option periods right now, unless there is a cause for concern about the house, that, you know, they're really worried about something being not coming up to par with the standard of construction or something else. Look, the reality is that the option period gives the buyer an unrestricted right to terminate. And so, you know, we are trying to make our offers more as competitive as possible. So when we go and place an offer with a buyer, we want to make sure that that buyer has the best chance possible to get that offer accepted and make our offers more competitive. Okay. Another comment was talking about the Dream Home Finder program. So one of the programs that we regularly work in our office is being able to supply our buyers with properties that they can't find on their own. So if for those of you who joined me last week, I talked a little bit about being able to find properties that were not on the market, not on HAR, not online. I talked to probably about 45 minutes about that particular topic last week. And you can find that video on YouTube. I posted that there. Maybe I can post a link on this chat. But basically, what we talk about in our office as far as Dream Home Finder program is being able to supply our buyer clients with properties, opportunities that they will not be able to find, either not be able to find on their own, or maybe, you know, they're working and they don't have time to look at the properties that are coming up from other avenues every day. Maybe you set up a custom search for them where they get those properties delivered, but those custom emails, specific emails that are sent to them, that's the market. That's har.com, or it's our platform, one of these platforms that auto deliver those properties to you to the client on a consistent basis. All of the buyers have access to the same thing, so they're all looking at that same stuff. So for us, it's about trying to bring value to the client where we're doing something for them that they can't get on their own, or they don't know how to do on their own, right? And so in my conversation last week, what we had talked about is going off and finding sellers, like active sellers that are not listed on har.com, looking in other places for example, FSBOs, or maybe expireds, different things like that. And then also I gave a pretty in-depth conversation of how I was using some of my tools with some of these other platforms to be able to find potential sellers, targeting sellers based on Is the home vacant? How long has the seller lived there? 3 years, 5 years, more likely to sell, and using these types of different filters to be able to try to drill down and see what potential sellers are going to be coming up into the market over the next 6 months or a year, or might be thinking about it sooner, right? And using different platforms that we have at our disposal to find these sellers and engage them, right? So let's say, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm in Pearland. I have a buyer in Pearland. He's looking at the properties. There were 87 active listings in Pearland as of this morning. And he's looking through them on a daily basis. He's pretty engaged as far as like looking through the inventory. And out of these properties, the ones that he's interested in are probably going to go into multiple offers, just based on most of the properties in the Houston market are still going under multiple offers. So how, in this case, in this specific case, would you be able to provide that particular buyer with inventory that he's not seeing on his own, he can't get on his own? Well, this is a perfect tool for that, to look for sellers in Pearland that fit the description of the type of house that he's looking for, and then you picking up the phone, looking up that seller's phone number, reaching out to them with a phone call, text message, email. I mean, all of this information is publicly available at this point. And then also being able to put advertising in front of them. Maybe that seller is not trying to sell within the next 30 days. The reality is, right now, or maybe forever, maybe it's been this way forever, but sellers don't want to move or don't want to sell their home until they actually know they have a place to go to. I mean, that's been the problem for sellers for 2 years now. Okay, yeah, I would love to take advantage of the fact that my house has gone up 50 grand in value, but where would I move to? Okay. So these types of tools, being able to find off-market inventory for clients, and giving our clients more options, it really can help you set yourself up for success with that client. It makes you look like a rock star agent, but also it helps you get paid. I mean, if that client knows that he walks into a $300,000 house and that house is going to get 10 offers on it, but you can go and bring him some other properties that are similarly priced in that market area, why wouldn't he prefer to work with you versus the agent that just sets up the custom search, sends it to the client, and say, well, I hope it works out. Does that make sense? All right. So any other comments or questions? It's 12:30 now. Hi, Evans. Who else do we have on the call here? So I'm going to pick on some of you here. Elise, can you hear me? Evans, can you hear me? Okay. So what do you think? What are your thoughts about what I've been talking about? Evans, we are in, our office is in League City. I live in Pearland. We work deals all over the city, and we get buyer and seller leads all over the city. So, the geography of where we are located is really, I mean, the job is remote at this point. We meet up every week, all the time virtually. We jump on calls just as a team like this to chat about stuff. And then, we have regular phone calls like this to talk about where we're getting stuck.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. You hear me okay?
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for inviting me. Yes, I do find I like everything that was said. And the reason I asked about the location, this is just for me personally, is as I'm getting my feet wet and everything, I do like the in-person office kind of thing right now because it's all brand new for me. I understand how the virtual game works.
Yeah.
But I know that I can learn a whole lot more or see a lot more and understand things better for myself personally and physical. And I just didn't want to be driving right now too
Mhm.
far. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm in Pearland myself.
Awesome.
I'm right there off of 288. So I just would like to know, or if you could drop the address in the chat. And, you know, I'm gauging myself right now as far as where and what branch, I mean, what brokerage I'm looking to look at right
Oh yeah, that's a great point. So, I mean, particularly for new agents, the biggest thing for a person joining any kind of new field, it doesn't matter if we're talking about real estate or something else, but it really always comes down to, for me, a couple of core components. One being your confidence level, and number two, your competence level. And I think I talked a little bit about this last week as well. But you know, if you have a certain level of competency, that automatically relates into a confidence level. And so, you know, particularly for new agents, you're kind of stuck and unsure of how to proceed in the day-to-day actions of your new role. And so for you to get that confidence and be able to speak to your clients in a way that's not that will have them taking you seriously, right? You have to get that competence, and then that translates later on down the road into confidence. Now, one other thing that I might point out to you is that a lot of brokerages have training programs. So for us, like we have a free training program here. We do that live in person in League City, and that is what we call our 10-day boot camp, and it's a very intensive training of going through like typical issues of what a new realtor is going through, and what kind of objections are you going to get hit with, and you know, if you met a buyer today in the field and they're like, oh yeah, okay, awesome, how long have you been a realtor? Oh yeah, man, this is my first day. You know, that like that, I just can't see that going very well, right? So our boot camp is really designed to give you the tools and give you the language or the mental script to be able to carry on these conversations with prospects and be able to handle yourself well so that they take you seriously. You know, you're not a joke. You can move forward to the next steps with them and just help them find the house or help them sell the house and proceed. And the other piece that I'd like to throw out here is that I know a lot of agents work as lone wolf agents. And to me, that means, okay, I'm going to sit in my, I'm going to sit in my home office or my living room, and I'm just going to try to figure out all of this stuff on my own. And I'll be able to do this on my own. So for us, we work in a team environment. This is 100% team. So what we do is we're always working together. And so there's a couple of things that are accomplished by that. The more experienced people in our group, I continue to learn. So I've been in real estate for over 10 years, but I continue to learn something new every day. I mean, like when you guys get on the call with me and you start throwing out harder questions or talking about stuff that kind of, throws me off, I'm thinking, wow, I just learned something, right? And that helps me get myself better when I'm talking to clients. But particularly for newer agents without that competence level, that confidence, it can really help ramp up your learning much more quickly, because instead of you trying to go figure it out listening to some dude on YouTube or something like that, like come sit in the office with us. Like I'm sitting in our office right now, and when I get off the call here, I've got sellers and buyers to call, and you would be listening to me make those calls, screwing up those calls if need be, right? And then learning something from that, right? So there is a lot to be said for that team environment where, whether it's with us or with somebody else, but putting yourself on as a member of a team where you can be able to see the day-to-day interactions of how people are handling their business, and then get to that success level that so much quicker, right? So
Right, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now in my first, granted 90 days of getting into the business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so Joe pointed out here, we allow you to shadow agents in the field and we shadow you on appointments also. I mean, that's a big part of what we do. You know, when I shifted gears from focusing on being an investment agent to being more of like the consumer driven buyer's agent, I had to learn some new skills that were associated with that. And what did I do? I was bugging people in our office all the time. Okay, well, if the buyer says this, what do you do? If they do this, what do you do? Right. And then beyond the intensive, like an intensive training program, the day-to-day stuff, the engagement, the people that show up to work are going to do the work and learn. The people that don't show up, they're going to play on Facebook, you know. So we're all, I mean, I'm just being real, right? So
Right.
yeah. So yeah. So was this helpful?
For myself, yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to go ahead and post this video on our YouTube channel as well. And, you know, if you guys Google me, and I'll write my name in here so you can find me easily. I'm everywhere, but if you want to look me up and find out a little bit more information about us on like the video I recorded last week, we were talking about finding sellers, finding potential sellers, and also sellers that were off market. I thought that video went pretty well. And then we're going to continue to do these videos we're trying to do them on a regular basis. And then, you know, if you get a text from me and you want to jump on, we would love to hear from you. I really appreciate you guys actually getting on the phone with us today, and then just picking my brain about what's going on in the market. Okay.
Thank you very much, Tim.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me, Bianca. Appreciate you.
Same here. Thank you again.
Yeah, man. Give me a ring. Give me a call if you want. All right. I'll put my phone number in here for you too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So my stuff is in the chat. If you guys want to reach out, feel free. And I look forward to maybe catching you on another one of these calls here soon. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
Have a good day, Tim.
You too.
Sell some houses.
Thank you. All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.